Recently, I've been digging deep into this company called Palantir Technologies, and it has quickly become one of my most favorite companies. Each piece of information I absorb of this company compels me to invest more and more into it. I also got really interested in Palantir after I saw that their stock price fell almost 50% from its highs, because I always like to go shopping for good deals in the stock market. And though this is kind of old news from Q4 of 2020, I really got interested in Palantir when I learned that they helped BP generate over $1 billion of value in 2020. I really like to invest in companies that actually provide value or have a beneficial service. BP is the largest oil and gas company in the world, and in this video I'll do a quick overview of Palantir. I'll explain why this company interests me, I'll explain their business model, and I'll explain what makes them different from their competitors. Since I'm always looking for companies that are trying to make a change in the world we live in today, I try to focus on growth, usability of the product, and who's the clientele of the company. Palantir now has over 125 customers, and each customer spends multiple millions of dollars on Palantir software per year. Some of these customers include the CIA, the DHS, the FBI, the Marine Corps, the CDC, West Point, the Army, and way more. If you haven't noticed yet, Palantir is basically a governmentally backed company. If I remember correctly, about 10 years after they started by 2013, they already had 12 governmental entities as clients. So clearly everyone trusts Palantir, even the US government. Also by 2013, they already had $1.2 billion worth of contracts just from governmental entities, which says a lot. And one thing that's important to note is that Palantir's clients aren't just using their services for a year and then ending the contract. In fact, each client roughly spends about 30% more than next year with Palantir. Palantir is focused on long-lasting partnerships, which is something that makes me very bullish on this company. The average revenue per customer was nearly $8 million in 2020, and I'm sure that figure is even higher in 2021. So a lot of people don't even understand what Palantir does and what the business model is. Everyone says it's a big data analytics company, but not a lot of people even know what that means. Pause the video and find the character in this photo. It's probably really difficult, right? This is exactly the problem that Palantir solves. Big companies struggle to find a piece of data or information that is so small when they have so much data. Palantir helps remove the clutter and the useless data. They cut through all the distractions and show exactly where the character is. So today, as a general overview, I'm going over Palantir's business model and how they operate. Palantir had two main softwares called Palantir Gotham and Palantir Foundry. Both of those are softwares which help Palantir derive important information from huge amounts of data. Palantir Gotham was the first software which Palantir created, and it was mainly focused towards helping the CIA and the military. The main problem that the military had was they were trying to map out the locations of everything by hand. For example, the US soldiers were mapping networks of bombs and other threats in Afghanistan by hand. Clearly, this was an extremely inefficient process to map these networks by hand, and it was nearly impossible to figure out patterns to predict where the next bomb was going to explode, because all their data had to be analyzed by humans, which was a long, slow, tedious, and inefficient process. This made it nearly impossible to map out the enemy and catch them before they plant their next bomb. So the Palantir Gotham was created to help analyze all this data and predict where the next strike was going to happen. The Palantir Foundry was created for companies like Airbus. Airbus has millions of parts built by various different factories and various different teams. So it was really difficult for them to pinpoint which part would be defective and from where. For a company with such a large size, they needed efficient software to figure out where the next defect would be, which factory it would be from, and which team was conducting it, and etc., to try to solve it as fast as possible. Airbus has so much data that it was nearly impossible for them to solve on their own. This is where Palantir Foundry helps. It helps enormous organizations make sense of all this data in a very respectable time frame. On the back end, Palantir also runs a system called Palantir Apollo as a continuous, automated means to deliver updates to the Foundry and the Gotham platforms everywhere they're deployed. So now that you guys understand what Palantir is a little more, I'm sure you're all wondering, who are Palantir's competitors, and can any tech company like IBM just start doing the same thing that Palantir is? There are several potential competitors to Palantir, including Booz Allen and Accenture, but both lack the expertise and niche focus that Palantir has. Some competitors could also be blue chip data companies like IBM, but these companies cannot scale down efficiently enough to compete on price. Other kind of competitors could also be defense contractors such as Raytheon Technologies, Science Applications International Corporation, and BAE Systems, but these companies cannot compete on costs and end user responsiveness with Palantir. Essentially, none of these companies are nimble or effective enough to match the focus and end user experience of Palantir. But Krishna, have you invested in Palantir yet? The answer to that question is kind of. I started building a position into Palantir, but I'm still building my conviction on this stock. I don't have a fully built out position in Palantir yet. This company is looking like something I want a part in. I'm still doing more research daily, listening to old interviews with Alex Karp, listening to investor presentations, and more, but this company continues to stay enticing. If you guys want a full depth analysis of Palantir, leave a comment below and I'll be sure to make one soon. Peace.